So good afternoon, everybody, and I'll hand over to Carol just to get us going here this morning. Okay, thanks.
Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Carol Deering, Recruitment and Admissions Manager. I'm delighted to be joined by Professor Cormac McGinley, who's the Academic Director of our MSc in Finance major, and also by our lovely colleague, Donna Downing, who is our dedicated program manager for the MSc in Finance course. So welcome, Cormac.
Well, thank you, Carol, and I look forward to engaging with our potential students. And let me just take the opportunity to welcome everybody and thank you all for your presence. And I'll take about the next 15-20 minutes to talk through elements of the MSc in Finance, and we'll follow that with a Q&A, and feel free to enter questions into chat box or Q&A box, and we'll follow up with those. So just to get us started, some of you may have already attended a prior session on some of our other finance related programs, and indeed there are sessions later on other programs. But I'm going to focus on the MSc in Finance, which is our flagship MSc program in Finance. Okay, so again, we are coming from, excuse me. So, as you're aware, the UCD, the Michael Smurfit Graduate School, again, we're a leading business school, consistently ranked in the Financial Times amongst the top 40 in Europe and 100 globally. And this is particularly true in the context of the MSc Finance, which is one of our ranked programs. And that, together with our accreditations from the AACSB, North American-based EQUIS, and also AMBA, is really a measure of the quality and reputation of the school locally and indeed globally. So in coming to the Smurfit School for our programs, you can be assured that you are coming to a highly accredited and ranked school with all the associated reputation and quality connecting to that. Now, regarding the MSc Finance, as I say, it is an accredited, globally accredited program through the Financial Times, top 40 year on year, and again, allows us to focus and redevelop our program and adapt as we go year to year to ensure the continuing quality of our programs. So it is an intensive, full-time, 12-month program. It is possible to pursue the program part-time over 2 years, and this does require the support of an employer in that it is not an evening program or a weekend program, but if students pursue the program part-time, they need to be able to be on campus for significant periods of time. And so in that regard, they need the support of their employer. Now, we can come back to that in the Q&A if there's students focusing on attending part-time. And the word, excuse me, intensive there says, well, it is an intensive program, particularly in the first phase, and we'll come to that. As I say, outstanding reputation and giving a combination of academic excellence and real world problem solving skills. We'll prepare you for a specialist career in financial services and functions such as corporate finance, funds management, investment management, consulting, and compliance. So quite a broad range of skills and career opportunities that will emanate from it, as I'll come back to momentarily. Also featuring strong industry connections and leading to excellent career opportunities, as we'll see. Now, in terms of the kind of student that would join us, we would generally be looking for a kind of high 2-1 honors level degree programs in fields coming from finance, from economics, from mathematics, from engineering, the sciences, with a good standard of undergraduate level mathematics. So I would say it is important in joining our program to have good skills, good quantitative skills. And this is one of the reasons that our admissions colleagues will have a close look at your CVs and your prior degree programs to discern the extent of your quantitative skills to support your admissions through the program. And that would be one consideration. Now, in terms of goals and learning outcomes, what are we about? What are we trying to achieve here? So, and there's 5 of these that I'll talk to briefly. First is, in regard to knowledge and theory and practice. And I guess I would use those words, to support each other, to complement each other. That is, of gaining knowledge, an appreciation of theory, but yet having also an appreciation of practice in the financial services sector. So to critically assess financial theories, as their application to the financial services sector, and to employ this theory together with statistical analysis, financial modeling, in addressing financing challenges faced by investors and corporations. And indeed, it's fair to say that today there's significantly more financial data available through various sources, and the opportunity is there to engage in significant analysis and modeling to better appreciate the nature of finance and the nature of financial markets. Also, it's important to be able to communicate well, to be able to communicate in different forms, to be able to write decent, proper, fully expanded research reports and such. And with this in mind, some of the outcomes that to be able to synthesize, to summarize data, information, results, models, and to communicate well the outcomes of this analysis, both in written form and in orally, whether as an individual presentation or indeed as part of a group presentation. And then to select appropriate communication strategies, whether written, visual, oral, to communicate our objectives. And this, I guess, this area of communication is increasingly important in this kind of blended working environment, and indeed a blended environment in education that we've had in recent years, though again we are much more in a face-to-face mode than in prior years. But again, we have varied communication strategies that we need to appreciate. This notion of being able to critically evaluate investment decisions, and to look at investment projects that companies might pursue, whether it's a large infrastructure project such as a bridge or an oil field or whatever it would be, and to be able to analyze that and bring to bear thinking and evaluation mechanisms to evaluate such projects, and be able to engage in and learn of and to engage in detailed analysis of core industry value drivers, to utilize the relevant financial industry economic information that's required for a project specification, and to draw on appropriate databases and literature. And indeed, much of that financial industry economic information, it is in the public domain. It is highly accessible through various information systems, and really one would desire to make the best of the available information and to assess it, analyze it, and come up with appropriate recommendations when it comes to investment and project appraisal. To be able to communicate critically on organizational and governance issues in financial decision making, to be able to demonstrate a diverse understanding of issues of governance, organizational structures, and indeed, important here, to at the end of the day, to appreciate the impact of ethical considerations in decision making. So, what I'd say, I use that word there, kind of to critically assess, to comment critically, critique, to engage in critical thinking. These are important dimensions, I think, of any master's program, but particularly of a specialist program, and to be able to apply knowledge accordingly. And importantly, this ethical consideration that I'll return to momentarily as well. So we see here our fifth goal to possess the ability to effectively be team players in their career as careers develop, to engage collaborative learning by completing business projects, assignments, and teams. And most of the modules that one would engage in would be looking at elements of group work, and this group all the more being pursued by students, locally and globally. We have quite a diverse student population, and so the opportunity to work with students from all over the world is perhaps one of the strengths of our programs. Now, in regard to structure, there's a couple of elements here that are worth addressing. First is that we're a three trimester program. First trimester in the autumn, commencing in approximately September or end of August, second trimester commencing in mid-January, and the third trimester more or less in mid-May. Now the first trimester, and I want to kind of focus on this a little bit, because the first trimester is actually shared with other finance related programs, be that the quantitative finance program, the REEF program, or our financial data science program. Now what we pursue and intend in our first trimester is to share, is to look at the foundational material in quantitative methods, in capital markets, in financial theory, financial analysis. And these are skills and models, and it's almost like a toolbox that needs to be built up in order to permit students to move forward to broader themed issues in the world of finance. So this is an important toolbox, important foundational material that we work closely with in the first semester. And our students do work hard to achieve the skills in this space. We then, in our second trimester, kind of move to a kind of a broader perspective and more focused around issues of portfolio risk management, equity asset valuation, empirical corporate finance, financial institutions management. And as you see there, this is a broader range from the world of investment management, from the world of stockbroking, from the world of corporate finance consulting, and indeed from the world of banking and regulation, all again giving students exposure to a breadth of applications, and again utilizing the skills, the foundation, the toolbox that they've acquired in the first trimester, and more application into the second trimester in these spheres. Then in the third trimester, in the summer trimester, we then broaden things. We take a number of different pathways here. Firstly, there's some kind of core modules that students would pursue. One is in ethics, and I do emphasize the importance of ethics in all aspects of one's education, and indeed, of course, in all aspects of one's career development, and not least in the world that we populate, in the world of finance. So in that regard, it's an important consideration. Then strategic finance is kind of, again, a broader application of the varied skill sets acquired and underappreciated through the first two trimesters, and the application to a particular context. And one context in which we do that is to see, well, what's happening in the current environment. And this past year, we focused on issues associated with the pandemic and really brought to bear, well, what can we take from our finance toolbox to better appreciate issues of research and development, issues of financing or venture capital, issues of corporate social responsibility, all playing into improve the manner in which society deals with the issue with the pandemic. So there are always applications, and no doubt there are applications in other spheres as well. Then students would then go on in the summer trimester to look at three pathways. One is to take some elective modules. A second is to pursue an internship, and I'll come to that more momentarily, and indeed possibility of a more focused academic research project, again, which I'll comment on briefly in a moment. So some of our students pursue more coursework to yet broaden their knowledge base further, to seek more detailed focused knowledge in areas such as treasury management, structured finance being a new module that we're going to introduce this year, in the area of mergers and acquisitions, and indeed in the area of fintech, financial technology, or fintech. So again, adapting our modules according to the needs of the current environment. So those possibilities are there. The second pathway, which is a popular pathway, is that of pursuing an internship, for which we have a dedicated internship manager to help facilitate this process. So a dedicated internship manager will assist in arranging internships, both locally and globally. We seek to link students to industry connections for internships, but do recommend that students pursue their own internship opportunities. Really, this is your opportunity to kind of knock on doors, to pursue pathways. It's almost like the possibility of doing an internship gives you a license to reach out to companies of interest to you, while also, of course, many companies have internship opportunities advertised on their websites and through their own career development work. And as I say, recently, a number of our students, a significant number, successfully pursued internships in the online world, in this new work environment. And it'll be interesting to see going forward as to how that evolves. So perhaps we are in this new world of blended, certainly a world of blended learning, but also in a world of, blended working, whether working from home or working in the offices. And but as I say, students and indeed employers successfully dealt with and adapted to the need to change the manner in which internships worked in the phase. And so that would be interesting to see going forward. So it is very much an opportunity to seek out work opportunities locally, globally. And here's just some examples of some of these are identifiable locally, some of them are identifiable globally. So we have a local stockbroker, a significant stockbroking firm, local banks, local investment vehicles, and organizations such as EY, and then maybe globally organizations such as Morgan Stanley, Credit Suisse. And there are many and varied opportunities available, and working with our careers office, and also being our students working off their own bat, seeking out opportunities that would suit them, whether local or global. Now, the third pathway, this one just to talk about briefly, this is a research project pathway best suited to students who might be considering kind of an academic career, maybe moving towards a PhD. We might have a few students year on year pursuing this pathway, but it tends to be those students, again, who have a particular focus on an academic career. So it's not going to suit everybody, it's not going to suit many, but it may well work for a few with that particular research orientation. So these are the pathways that we pursue, as I say, the summer modules, internship, research projects as possibilities. Now, to mention as well, it's not just about the modules, not just about the pursuit of the modules trimester by trimester, or indeed working together with your lecturers, your professors and your classmates in the context of those modules. There are other opportunities available to you, not least our link with the Chartered Financial Analyst, or CFA program. And this link plays out importantly here through a CFA program partner, a designation that recognizes our finance degree programs as being academically rigorous and closely aligned to professional practice. Indeed, it would be fair to say that approximately 70% of the CFA syllabus is covered within our programs. Now, the CFA do not give exemptions. So it's not to say, well, you gained the knowledge from our programs, they do not give exemptions on their examinations, unlike some other professional bodies, such as some of the accounting bodies. Now, the other important element here is the Global Equity Analysis Competition, or the Research Challenge, CFA Research Challenge. And we year on year, a representative team from the MSc Finance program competes in this challenge. And for those students who take this on, it is a great addition to their experience in the school, and also a great addition to their CV in pursuing the CFA challenge. And I'm currently working with a group of students who are pursuing the CFA challenge, and they're doing an equity analysis of Kerry Group, a large, an Irish-based food company. And then some students may go on to pursue CFA qualification. So that partnership matters to us. Other opportunities that run through the school include the Global Leadership Program, which allows you an opportunity to engage in a diverse range of co-curricular activities in order to develop leadership skills. And this is again opportunity to work with our colleagues, but also to work with students from other MSc disciplines, and certainly one that would add to your experience, add to your sense of confidence going forward. Another program we've worked with in recent years is our Intercultural Development Program. Now again, here what we're seeing, and I guess this is kind of a global phenomenon to a degree, but certainly within UCD we do have a very diverse student body, upwards more than 50% of our students are from overseas, and indeed some from as far afield as China, India, some from North America, some from Canada, some from the Euro region, and but as I say, as compared to years past, it's really important to develop an appreciation of intercultural issues, intercultural understanding, and this will occur whether in the university or in the workplace. So again, our colleagues have worked in this space and have developed programs to assist with this. Another opportunity that just sort of comes to mind is some of the extracurricular opportunities. So a colleague runs a Toastmasters club on campus, which again allows students to develop their confidence and public speaking skills, and that again, and for valuable social interaction, social engagement. So there are many opportunities in that regard. Now, to speak to the, I guess, on the other side, kind of coming through the program, the desire is to pursue, careers in various areas, and we see here quite a diverse range of career opportunities, whether in banking, brokerage, compliance, consulting, in the public sector, maybe perhaps through central banks, and through other business associations and government organizations. So quite a diverse range, and maybe that's one of the strengths of the MSc Finance as compared to others. It has this kind of broader perspective and allows linkage into many career opportunities. Some of the other offerings, which are indeed excellent, but they are kind of highly focused. For example, in kind of the research, in renewable energy being one of our MSCs, or in quantitative finance being that bit more technical orientated, perhaps towards trading opportunities. And indeed, the newly developing programs in financial data science, beginning to focus in on kind of fintech opportunities, or for that matter, or aviation finance focused on the aviation field. So yes, they absolutely generate opportunities in those spaces, but the MSc Finance has a broader footprint, if you like, and I think there's value associated with that. And again, our graduates have entered into many career opportunities, and again, some of these are identifiable, recognizable to you, whether local or global. Again, some of our brokerage firms or banks, or international banks that are based in the International Financial Services Centre in the centre of Dublin, or indeed again looking more globally, whether into London, New York, and other European cities, and increasingly maybe continental opportunities in Germany, France for some of our European students, and further afield, of course, for our students from China or India. So again, global opportunities on the graduate sphere as well. So for me, for now, again, there's various sources of information, some of them here, and we'll have an opportunity to discuss in the Q&A other questions, thoughts you might have. And so for now, I'm just to thank you for listening. And again, Carol, if I can hand back to you, I'm happy to consider any questions that students might have, or potential students may have as they consider entering our program.
Thank you, Professor McGinney. That was fantastic. Yeah, so there's a lot of questions coming in. I suppose the first question is in relation to GMAT. Is it beneficial to take a GMAT test prior to applying?
Yeah.
So, and what are the benefits of, if you already meet the mathematic academic entry requirements? Is it beneficial for somebody to take a GMAT, and will it help them get a job post completing the program?
Yeah. So if you've met kind of if your prior academic experience is already demonstrated strong quantitative skills, which would be maybe excellent performance, very good performance in quantitative subjects, whether that's finance or mathematics, statistics. So you may have evidential in that space. Now, sometimes where students don't have evidence, the GMAT can help to show your ability, to demonstrate your ability regarding the balance of quantitative and literary skills. So in that regard, again, it is, globally accepted and globally appreciated, I guess. So, and to be honest, it's also a good exercise in itself, to my mind, but it is a little time consuming. It's an investment in time to do the relevant background work in order to take the GMAT. But so it's not formally required. And if you can demonstrate the quant skills from your coursework, from your prior experience, then that's fine. If there's a sense of where the course or prior experience isn't really showing that, then we could ask you to pursue a GMAT in order to get a sense of the skill sets that applicants would have.
Great, thanks, Cormac. And I suppose it's important to remind the participants that we have a lot of scholarships, and GMAT, we have a specific scholarship for GMAT. We also have like regional scholarships and, you know, Aspire, a very prestigious Aspire scholarship. So I think, you know, if the students have the time to take a GMAT, you know, they can apply for our GMAT scholarship. So I've posted a lot of links on the chat function there, information in relation to our scholarships, the application process, our Global Leadership Development Programme, our Intercultural Development Programme, and also links for the Smurfit admissions team as well. So there's a question coming in on my phone here directly, Cormac. Is it beneficial for students to have like computer programming skills and say Java, Python, or a C++ language for the finance course?
Yes, you know, absolutely, absolutely. Whether, you know, coming in with those skill sets regarding kind of some of the programming languages, and they are certainly beneficial. And within some of our modules, so whether the quantitative methods module, for example, or econometrics module, they will focus on some of those programming languages, whether MATLAB, and indeed, I know one of our colleagues on the financial theory side is focusing currently on a relatively newer language called Julia, which is a language similar to Python. And so yes, students kind of coming in with those skills or building those skills, I guess I would actually kind of maybe view that even as an element of extracurricular learning. So I think that's something that the students could pursue, and there are many online possibilities in terms of, you know, pursuing opportunities in that space and using those data analytical skills and data analytical programs in the context of their coursework. So elements of this will be covered in some of the modules, but I do think there's scope for students to go further in that space. So I would encourage it. Use of those.
Excellent. And would you recommend a certain number of lines for the students? Say, for example, would they need 40 lines, 100 lines in relation to the programming?
Again, that would kind of vary.
Maybe 40 lines, I think, would suffice.
Yeah, varying according to, you know, particular, you know, whatever, you know, problem is trying to be addressed, I guess.
Yeah. So Donna, I have a few questions for you. The first one is in relation to the timetable. Can you take us through what the timetable for trimester 1 would look like?
Yeah, thanks, Carol. Hi, everybody. So in the first trimester, which is the autumn trimester, students would study 6 modules. So 3 of those are taught intensively over 6 weeks and then examined. And then the remaining 3 are taught over the remaining 6 weeks and then examined. And then that brings us up to the Christmas break. The second trimester, the spring trimester, is a 12-week trimester. So it's perhaps slightly less busy, but nevertheless still very busy. And then the summer, as Cormac has mentioned, so that's a kind of a slightly different structure. Again, our summer trimester, we have 2 core modules, and then depending on which option students do, so it will just vary slightly.
Donna, what are the exams and assessments? How does it work? What do they look like? Is it a mix of participation, in-class exams, or what way does it work?
Maybe I'll take that, and then Donna, you might come in at the back end of it.
Okay.
So, thank you. So there's, as I say, quite a mix in regard to assessment depending on the particular module. So some of the modules might have this kind of quantitative orientation. Other modules might be more broader regarding kind of literature, theory, and then the balance of assessment will vary between kind of individual exams, semester at the end of a trimester, perhaps multiple choice midterm examinations to assess understanding of concepts. And there could also be a significant component of group work and group projects across varied modules as well. And those are the kind of the three main methods of assessment that come to mind. But perhaps Donna, if you have anything maybe to add to that.
No, I think that's everything Cormac covered. I suppose it's a variety really of different methods used to assess.
Yeah,
excellent.
And as I say, targeted at the particular learning associated with the module. So it will vary by module. No two modules would have equivalent assessment techniques. And as I say, it also links back to some of those goals that I mentioned earlier around kind of group work and group assessment, and indeed critical thinking. Those kinds of skills will be reflected in the particular assessment method that will be used across varied modules.
Yeah, and I suppose it's important to mention to our participants that we have a very comprehensive website. So for the MSc in finance and for all our majors, on our website there's information, an overview for each major, then you've got the curriculum, then you can drill down and look at the module descriptors, the learning outcomes. So there's a lot of information. On top of that, and I posted the link, you're very welcome to have a chat with our current students that are registered on the MSc in Finance and our alumni on our UniBuddy platform, which is on our website. And I posted the link into the chat function there as well. So yeah, Donna, what sort of support services do we provide for our students here in the Smurfit School? That's another question that had just come in.
Okay, so I'm the program manager for this program along with two other programs. So I suppose I would be the first kind of point of contact, for various issues right from the start of the year, from your registration right up to your graduation. As well as that, we have the Careers Network, which Cormac referred to in terms so that they obviously would provide support careers-wise. We have a student advisor who's also available, and also the UCD has several other student services, medical counselling services, etc. So quite a lot to help people along the way.
Excellent, thanks a million. So there's a question coming in here now on my phone. When should I apply? Well, I suppose I can answer that. So every year in the Smurfit School, we receive thousands and thousands of applications from students all around the world. And as Professor Cormac mentioned, the MSc in Finance is so highly ranked in the Financial Times rankings. It's very highly ranked in the QS rankings as well globally. And as a result of this, we received thousands of applications for all our finance majors, but particularly for the MSc in Finance. So if you're interested in applying, I would always encourage applicants or prospective applicants to submit their online application ASAP. And, we will come back to you. If you submit, you don't need to have completed your undergrad degree, or if you're an international student, you don't need to have taken an English language test. I suppose the key message here is submit your online application as soon as possible, because our courses in all our majors fill up very, very quickly. So if you want to get your first choice, and as I mentioned earlier on, the finance majors are always extremely attractive because they're highly ranked. And on top of this, I suppose, Cormac mentioned that we hold the triple crown of accreditation, AMBA, AACSB and Equius. And we are in an elite group of just 1% of business schools that hold this very prestigious accreditation all around the world. So I suppose it's important that you submit your online application, and please pay attention to, make sure you upload your CV, make sure that you spend a lot of time on your essay-based questions, because we look at everything, absolutely everything. And we wish you the very, very best of luck with your application. So any more questions? So there is a question here in the inbox, and it's from a student that wishes to remain anonymous. He doesn't have a degree or a diploma, but has a 240 ECT credits in finance in a French business school. So Cormac, do you want to take that? Can he apply?
Yeah. So again, I guess that's a situation, where I guess what I would say is apply, and then, but we would have to kind of look at the specifics of the situation and where these credits are, where they came from. But I, without knowing the detail, I guess, so for example, if this was complemented with, significant experience, relevant experience, certainly it could be considered, but we'd have to look at the particular context. So I can't really address the question fully, but I would encourage, this student to, and, include this information on an application, and between ourselves and the admissions, or, Carol and the
absolutely. So we do look at non-standard applications like this, and if you want, you can email us your CV and we can have a look, and then we can advise you further if that's okay. So thank you for your question.
Yeah.
So any other questions? No, I think that's it. So thank you so much for joining us today. And we hope that you consider applying to our MSc in Finance. And should you have any further questions, we would be delighted to talk to you directly. I have uploaded my email address there. And then if you have any general questions, as I mentioned earlier on, our website is very comprehensive. And I would encourage you all to have a look at the videos and testimonials. You can talk to our current students or our alumni. And finally, if you wish, you can email us directly to smurfit.admissions@ucd.ie. So many thanks for joining us, and we hope to see you in September.